Hello, I am Alexei Sipachevsky. Today, we have the Dragon Talon long pimples for review from the company Giant Dragon. We have known these pimples for a long time. We have tested them before, even before we started shooting videos, in the days of celluloid balls. And now I decided to repeat this test with plastic balls and film everything and tell you about it. Before I begin, I ask you to click on the subscribe button and like this video. It's a small thank you to us for our videos. So, what is Dragon Talon? In terms of basic properties, these are quite fast long pimples. The speed is noticeably above average. In terms of feel, they are quite firm, probably harder than average. The spin is weak. It may not be the lowest, but it is definitely below average. It's quite weak for generating its own spin. You can generate some spin when chopping on the table, but it's very minimal, and overall it's pointless. The strength of these pimples is not in that. The strength of these pimples lies in the high control in blocking and chopping. As for blocking, the ball returns with good reversal and on a solid trajectory. The block is not the most vicious one. The same boomerang classic from Dr. Neubauer has a more aggressive block. Here, it's just a good controlled block with quite high speed because the pimples are fast. At the same time, the speed on the block is slightly lower than the speed of the average rubber. In other words, the pimples slow down and dampen the speed quite well for their own speed. Now let's move on to chopping defense. Surprisingly, for fast pimples with weak grip, the chopping defense in the far zone turned out to be very good. High control, reliable returns, strong reversal. I won't say that it's the maximum for these properties, but all of this works at a high level. In general, with Talon, you can defend yourself quite reliably in the far zone, and the returns from them are difficult. In addition to chopping in the far zone, the far block also works well, which is a variation of the block made from a distance, not at the table. What are the differences from chopping? The main difference is that if a strong backspin comes from a chop, then a flat ball almost comes from a far block, sometimes with noticeable side spin. If the incoming topspin had side spin, then the ball from the far block flies in a sideways arc and after the bounce, it slightly deviates to the side. Thus, if you vary chops and far blocks in the far zone, some returns will have strong backspin, while others will have weak backspin with added side spin. And let the opponent struggle. I specifically mentioned the far block because not all long pimples can perform this element. There are some pimples with which you can only chop from a distance. But with Talon, both chopping and blocking work. When it comes to the pushing, Talon is not for those players who want to maliciously block all opponents on the table. Talon can simply hold the ball comfortably during the pushing on the table. Not bad, but not super. The side cut works well. However, I couldn't make an aggressive straight hit at all. If someone manages to do it, write in the comments. I couldn't do it at all, unlike some other pips which do this element well, for example, Dr. Neubauer Monster Classic. Well, the side cuts work at an average level. You can do it, but not super. Super is, for example, the Boomerang Classic from Dr. but the price of Boomerang is significantly higher. As for hitting high balls, I was very bad at it. I would say that if you play with Talon, you need a different rubber to attack high balls. But if you have a different experience and observations, share them in the comments. However, if we are not talking about a strong hit, but just a counter drive with medium force, my partner's attack worked well. That is, it is quite possible to attack with a counter drive or a lifting with a little force. It works well because the rubber has high speed. Let's summarize. Dragon Talon is a fast, low-durable long pips with a slightly higher stiffness. It has high control, good for blocking on the table and defending in the far zone with chop blocks and long-distance blocks. Attacking occasionally is possible, but Talon is not great for attacking. Is this rubber suitable for beginner players or as their first pips? I don't recommend it for a fast blade. It can be used on a defensive blade. The control of the rubber is relatively high, and it is quite clear how to use it, so you can try it as your first long pips on a slow blade. I would like to remind you that we do reviews so that you can learn about the properties of the rubbers and blades you are interested in and have an idea of what might suit you best or, on the contrary, to protect you from buying something unsuitable. For this purpose, the TT Maximum online store has a detailed system of filters and characteristics that help you understand the topic of each rubber or blade and their properties. So visit our website, and if you need assistance and consultation in choosing, write to the contacts provided on the website, and we will help you.